بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمد ونصلي على رسول الكريم. So we were still discussing the salah, the sifat of salat, and the question here is if a person decided to read salah besides the Arabic language, that's a discussion. So the first thing is saying, فَإِنِ افْتَتَحَ الصَّلَاةَ بِالْفَارِسِيَّةِ. We did already discuss a bit of this yesterday, but we could just start again from the beginning. So if a person started his salah, right, but in Farsi. But here when we say Farsi, we don't mean particular Farsi, we mean any language besides the Arabic language, right? أو قرأ فيها. So he said like this, God is the greatest, right? أو قرأ فيها بالفارسية. Or he said, instead of saying Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, he said, all praises are due to God, the Lord of the world, right? Second one. Third one, أو ذبح. He was slaughtering, so we say Bismillah Allahu Akbar, we slaughtering. So he said, in the name of God, God is the greatest, right? أو ذبح وسمى بالفارسية. And now this is important here. وهو يحسن العربية. He does this while he's able to read Arabic. That's critical. There's a critical thing there, right? He can read Arabic. He can read Arabic, right? وهو يحسن العربية أجزأه عند أبي حنيفة. According to Abu Hanifa, despite him able to read Arabic, this will be sufficient. And I told you one of the reasons because I told you he said that the Quran is not Arabic. The Arabic is only a reflection of the sifat which is in Allah Ta'ala. We discussed this in detail yesterday, right? Carry on. Right. So وقال لا يجزيه إلا في الذبيحة. Sahibain says that in all these instances, follow nicely now, right? We have to follow this thing nicely to see because there's a lot of exceptions and all that type of thing. So we're looking at a scenario where he knows Arabic. We're looking at a scenario knows Arabic, and despite knowing Arabic, he decided to what? He decided to read in non-Arabic. So Sahibain said it will not suffice him, right? It will not suffice him illa fi dhabihati, except when he slaughtered. So if he said in the name of God, he thought it will be fine, right? So right, you got it. Now read the next one. وَإِن لَمْ يُحْسِنْ الْعَرَبِيَّةَ أَجْزَأَهُ. So till there we were discussing where he knew Arabic. Till there we discussed he could read in Arabic, right? The next masla is if he did not know how to read Arabic, say he just became Muslim now, etc. Right? So there Sahibin said, وَإِن لَمْ يُحْسِنِ الْعَرَبِيَّةِ وَإِن لَمْ يُحْسِنِ الْعَرَبِيَّةَ أَجْزَأَهُ. وَإِن لَمْ يُحْسِنِ الْعَرَبِيَّةَ أَجْزَأَهُ. If he did not know Arabic, now he went and he said, all praise is due to the Lord of the world, etc. Then it will suffice him, right? Then so there he doesn't differ with Imam Hanifa. So he only differs with Imam Abu Hanifa in the masla where he is able to read Arabic. Are you with me? Carry on. Right. So أما الكلام في الافتتاح فمحمد رحمه الله تعالى مع أبي حنيفة. So see there. Go back to the beginning. You have to, as I said, you have to follow nicely here. Otherwise, you're going to get confused. Imam Abu Hanifa said, even though he knows Arabic, right? Just mute this one. Okay. Even though he knows Arabic, Imam Abu Hanifa says, even though he knows Arabic, he can still make iftitah in another language. Remember? Right. So they're saying, أما الكلام في الافتتاح فمحمد مع أبي حنيفة. Right. So for Muhammad مع أبي حنيفة في العربية. So there Imam Muhammad coincides with what? With Imam Hanifa, that even if he knows Arabic, if he said the iftitah in non-Arabic, it will be fine. Are you with me? You got that? أما الكلام في الافتتاح, as for with regards to the iftitah, فمحمد Imam Muhammad مع أبي حنيفة, he is with Imam Hanifa في العربية, in the Masla of Arabic, right? right, that yeah, you don't have to say it in Arabic, Imam Hanifa, even if you're able, right? But وَمَعَ أَبِي يُوسُفَ فِي الْفَارِسِيَّةِ, right? So, sorry, I explained it wrong. You see, what he's saying there is, you see all those masail there in the beginning of the words that are acceptable. You go back, just go back there. You see what all the words Imam Hanifa said is acceptable. Right, remember فإن قال بدل التكبير الله أجل الله عظم الرحمن أكبر لا إله إلا الله وغيرها من أسماء الله تعالى أجزاءه عند أبي حنيفة ومحمد رحمه الله تعالى, right? So the same thing. He said there's the same thing saying there. There he is with Imam Hanifa. You can use any words that point to the greatness of Allah Ta'ala. Are you with me? But, right, in Arab, وَمَعَ بِيُوسُفِ الْفَارِسِيَّةِ. But here, Imam Yusuf says, remember that if you know Arabic, you can't use any language besides Arabic. So there, Imam Muhammad is with Imam Yusuf. Luqman, is that clear? Is that quite clear? I'll repeat it. So, with regards to using any words that indicate towards the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which has been discussed in these words here, Allahu Ajal, Allah Azam, Ar-Rahman Akbar, La ilaha illallah, or ghayrahu min asma'illahi ta'ala. All those words there, Imam Muhammad coincides with what? He coincides with Imam Hanifa. But then when Imam Hanifa said, you can even say it in a different language, there he never agreed with Imam Hanifa. And here is the surah is where a person is able to read Arabic, right? There is with Imam Yusuf. And what is Imam Yusuf's opinion? That if you can read Arabic, you cannot say it in another language, right? Are you with me? So وإن لم يحصل عربية, right, ومع أبو يوسف في الفارسي. Why? Now, why they say Imam Abu Yusuf and Imam Muhammad say that, look here, if you know Arabic, you have to recite in Arabic, you have to make the iftitah in Arabic. Although they say you don't have to make the tasmiyah for Zabah in Arabic. Why they say? Right? Why? لأن لغة العربي لها من المزية ما ليس لغيرها. So they say, look here, we agree with you that, you know, the Quran is the actual meaning, etc., etc. We agree with it. But at the same time, the Arabic language, it has got some distinguishing factor which the other languages don't have. The Arabic language has a distinguishing factor that the other languages don't have. That لأن, because اللغة العربية, the language of Arabic, لها من المزية, it has a distinguishing factor ما ليس لغيرها, which is not for besides it, right? Carry on.
وأما الكلام في القراءة فوجه قولهما أن القرآن اسم لمنظوم عربي كما نطق به النص.
Yeah, so then remember what was Sahibain's opinion. Sahibain's opinion was this here, that you cannot recite in besides the Arabic language if you know Arabic. Remember, you cannot recite in another language if you know Arabic. If you know Arabic, you have to recite the Quran in Arabic. So what is the reason? This is the reason. They say, see, this is the reason here. وَأَمَّا الْكَلَامُ فِي الْقِرَاءَةِ, as for the discussion with regards to the qiraat of the Quran, why they insist when you're able to read, you must read in Arabic. Say, فَوَجْهُ قَوْلِهِمَا, the reason for their statement, you can say the reason for the insistence that you must read in Arabic, أَنَّ الْقُرْآنَ, that if you look at the Quran, ismun limanzumin arabiyatin. Quran is a name for limanzumin arabiyat. Nazam means like things that are strung together. So the Quran is a name for those Arabic words that's been strung together. That's why you refer to a nazam. You know, you say sing a nazam. It's words that are put together. It is words that are composed together. So here, Sahib is saying, no, the Quran, it is a name for the Arabic words, the Arabic letters that has been composed, right? So when you are able to recite it, we won't accept anything else besides it. You understood that? So he's saying, فَوَجْهُ قَوْلِهِمَا أَنَّ الْقُرْآنَ, the reason for the saying is أَنَّ the Quran ismun, is a name limanzumin Arabiyyin, for Arabic words, right? Kama nataqa bihi an-nassu, like how the text of the Quran and the Sunnah, etc., etc. It refers to the Quran as an Arabic thing. It doesn't refer just to the meaning of the Quran. Are you with me? Carry on. Yeah. So they're saying, look, the Quran is the Arabic is the actual Quran, right? The Arabic, and you have to recite the Quran in Arabic. You have to recite the Quran in Arabic. That is the default. Yes. If you got an excuse, you are unable to recite in Arabic, then because premised upon that excuse, based upon that excuse, you will be able to then now recite besides Arabic life. Illa, except anna indal ajzi, at the time of inability, yuktafa bil ma'na, it will suffice with the meaning of the Quran, yuktafa bil ma'na, kal ima'i, like how they say, look here, the actual thing in salah is you make ruku, isn't it? You make sajda, etc. But when you are unable, you got a uzr, you are unable to stand and read, then you sit and read. So you are waived or you excused from the default. So same thing here, that the Arabic is the actual Quran, and that is the default ruling. You should be reading in Arabic, but at the time of an excuse, like how sajda falls off at the time of excuse, like how ruku falls off at the time of the excuse, same thing here. This will this will fall off at the time of. So coming just to briefly again mention the call of Sahibain. Sahibain says that at the time of ability, you have to recite the Quran in Arabic. You are not excused, right? Right? Because that is the default. بخلاف التسمية, but contrary to tasmiyah, and tasmiyah means like to recite basmallah at the time of slaughtering. Remember, if you remember correctly, they said they even with the ability to, even having the ability to recite it, if you recite another language, is sufficient. So why are they saying here? So follow again. For salat, having the ability to recite the Quran and you don't, not permissible. Tasmiyah, having the ability to recite the Arabic and you don't, you recite in another language, it is fine. Why? Why? Because they say لأن ذكر يحصل بكل لسان. They're saying, look here, the requirements of salat is different and the requirements of slaughtering is different. The requirement of salah is that you must read from the Quran. Allah Ta'ala says, فَقْرَأُوا مَا تَيَسَّرَ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ. What Allah Ta'ala says? فَقْرَأُوا مَا تَيَسَّرَ مِنَ. That read from the Quran. And the Quran is only Arabic. The Quran is not non-Arabic. So you have to read of the Quran when you have the ability, right? And they're saying tasmiyah, there's no injunction, there's no instruction that you have to say it in Arabic. It just what's it verse? يا أيها الذين آمنوا كلوا مما ذكر اسم الله عليه. That eat from that which the name of Allah Ta'ala is mentioned on. It doesn't say there the name of Allah Ta'ala must be mentioned in Arabic or it must be mentioned in any particular language. So you saw that you follow Sahibain's reasoning that with regards to the Quran, Allah Ta'ala says, فَقْرَأُوا مَا تَيَسَّرَ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ. Read that which is easy from the Quran. And obviously the Quran is only that which is in Arabic. That's what Sahibain. And the injunction they say that you must slaughter, just say, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا كُلُوا وَلَا تَأْكُلُوا مِمَّا لَمْ يُذْكَرِ اسْمُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهِ فَكُلُوا مِمَّا ذُكِرَ اسْمُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهِ. Eat from that which the name of Allah Ta'ala is mentioned upon. So there's no condition, there's no specification, there's no injunction that it must be in Arabic. Are you with me? Hence, if you say, I'm slaughtering in the name of God, it will be sufficient, right? So that is saying, لأن ذكر يحصل بكل لسان, right? So coming back now, just to before we do the proof of Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah ta'ala, remember Abu Hanifa said, if despite having the ability to recite in Arabic, if you recite in another language, it will be sufficient. What is his proof? He say, okay, read from there, Luqman. Right, so you see, Imam Hanifa says, see, before we look at it, let me explain to you. See, in the Quran itself, Allah Ta'ala says that the Quran existed in the previous scriptures. وَإِنَّهُ لَفِي زُبُرِ الْأَوَّلِينَ. That the message, so he said the Quran existed in the previous scriptures. Now, the previous scriptures, were they in Arabic? They were not in Arabic. They were in Hebrew, what other language. So, the message of the Quran existed in the previous scriptures, and Allah Ta'ala referred to it as the Quran. So Imam Hanifa saying, see, that it doesn't have to be in Arabic to be the Quran. It's the main thing is the message. That message existed in the previous books, and Allah Ta'ala referred to that message as the Quran. So that shows you the Quran doesn't have to be in Arabic. Are you with me? That's what he's saying there. Wali Abi Hanifata. And the proof of Imam Hanifa, rahimahullah, fi qawli ta'ala, with regards to the Sunnah of Allah Ta'ala, وَإِنَّهُ لَفِي زُبُرِ الْأَوَّلِينَ, that this Quran, it existed in the previous scriptures, Surah Shu'ara. So he's saying, وَلَمْ يَكُنْ فِيهَا بِهَذِي اللُّغَةِ, and obviously we know that the Quran, it was in the previous scriptures, it wasn't in the Arabic language. Right? It wasn't in the Arabic language, it was in some other language. And despite it being some other language, Allah Ta'ala refers to it as the Quran. وَلِهَذَا يَجُوزُ إِنْدَ الْإِجْزِ. So that is why, have you got like وَلِهَذَا يَجُوزُ إِنْدَ الْإِجْزِ. And he's saying, see here, Imam Hanifa saying that you sahibain, you saying that the time when you're unable to read Arabic, yeah, Zubur means in the previous scriptures, right? So he's saying, see here, you also sahibain, you also conceding that the Quran is the actual message. That is why you are saying that at the time of being unable to recite Arabic, you can recite it. So you have also conceded that the Quran is the actual message because you permit it and you allow it at the time of being unable to recite the Quran. So why don't you want to permit it at the time of ability? You understood that? Then, so Imam Hanifa says, if you got the, you understood that? Are we using Sahibain? Are we countering Sahibain? Look, you agreed. You have agreed that you can read it when you are unable. So that means you have tacitly conceded that the Quran is also what? It is the non-Arabic message. So since you have conceded that the Quran is the non-Arabic message, we will build on that and say that even when you are able to recite, you can recite it in non-Arabic. Are you with me? So, but Imam Hanifa says, but إلا أن يصير مسيئا لمخالفة السنة المتوارثة. So, so Imam Hanifa says, yes, while we say it is, it is valid that the salah, it suffices, right, if you recite, but it is not the best of things to do. Why? Because you are going against the continuous sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The continuous sunnah of Rasulullah was, and of the Sahaba and all the Salafus Salihin, etc. The continuous sunnah was to recite the Quran in the Arabic language. So technically speaking, we're saying that if you recited in another language, your qiraat will be done as long as you convey the message of the Quran, but you are intentionally abandoning the continuous sunnah of Rasulullah, hence you will be blameworthy, right? إِلَّا أَنَّهُ يَصِيرُ مُسِيًّا, you will become a sinner لِمُخَالَفَةِ السُنَّةِ الْمُتَوَارِثَةِ, because of contradicting the continuous chain of the sunnah. Then I told you before that although here Arabic is mentioned, it means any language besides Arabic, because maybe in that context, Imam Hanifa was Persian, right? He lived in Iraq. The other language was Persian. So the other language besides Arabic for them was Farsi. But so he's saying it. وَيَجُوزُ بَأَيِّ لِسَانٍ كَانَ. So it would be any language, right? siwa al-Farisiyati, that is besides Persian, because there's no special virtue for Persianism. Was sahihu. This is the correct thing, lima talawna, because of the reasons we gave you, that the Quran is the actual message, whether it is expressed in Arabic or whether it is expressed in English or Afrikaans or Zulu or Sutu or Isisutu, whatever, right? So, was sahih lima talawna. Carry on. So he's saying, وَالْمَعْنَى لَا يَخْتَلِفُ بِاخْتِلَافِ اللُّغَاتِ. So the meaning, whether it is Farsi, whether it is English, whether it is Persian, whatever, well, لَا يَخْتَلِفُ بِاخْتِلَافِ, it doesn't differ. It is the same meaning. It's just like I told you, I explained yesterday, that briefly again, we said, remember, just change the page there, that the Quran, Allah Ta'ala is not created, right? Allah Ta'ala is not created, right? Are you with me? So if Allah Ta'ala is not created, that means all his qualities are also not created. You understand what I'm saying? And from his sifat, his qualities is his kalam. So that means the Quran is not created. So if the Quran is not created, right? If the Quran is not created, then we can't say this when I recite Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. That can't be the exact kalam of Allah Ta'ala, because Allah Ta'ala's kalam is uncreated. It cannot be expressed in a created thing. It's just a reflection of what the meaning is. Are you with me? So that's briefly what we discussed today. So he's saying, وَالْمَعْنَى لَا يَخْتَلِفُ بِاخْتِلَافِ اللُّغَاتِ. So the masla will not really change. Ma'na means the masla, the ruling, according to Imam Hanifa, will not change بِاخْتِلَافِ اللُّغَاتِ, with different languages. It will be the same, whether you read in Urdu, whether you read in Farsi. The main thing is you are conveying the message that is contained, right, in Allah Ta'ala, right? Carry on. Right. So you got, see, وَالْخِلَافُ فِي الْإِعْتِدَادِ. This difference of now, where we said that Imam Hanifa said any language will go so long as you're conveying the message of the Quran. Sahibain said not any language will go, right? Right, if you are able to recite in Arabic. So this ikhtilaf is with regard sufficient or not. You understand what I'm saying? This, right? Wala khilafa fi annahu la fasada. This khilaf is not in whether salat will become fasid or not. That's what he's saying in the kitab. So in other words, we know there's a minimum qiraat that you must do, right? So Imam Hanifa said, if you do this minimum qiraat in Farsi or English, it will be sufficient. Your salat will be done. Sahibain says, no, you have to, if you know Arabic, you have to do it in Arabic. Reciting it in another language will not suffice. Are you with me? So the masla is not with regards to whether reading the Quran in another language will nullify the salah, but the ikhtilaf is only in this, whether it will be sufficient for the salah to be valid. Is that clear? Luqman, is that clear? So this is a nice question for the exams here. So the difference of opinion is not in whether reciting in another language will nullify the salah, but the difference of opinion is only in this, whether it will be sufficient for the salah to be valid or not. You got it? You clear? Right, carry on. The ikhtilaf here between Sahibain and Ibn Hanifa that we've been discussing is not in whether reciting in another language will nullify the salah. It is only with regards to whether it will be sufficient for the salah to be completed. You understood that? Right. So I told you here, normally Imam Hanifa, in all the masail of taharat and in all the style of ibadat, he normally chooses the most cautious view. And normally the default ruling is that the fatwa is on Imam Abu Hanifa's call, right? Because generally he's most cautious. But here you can see he is the most lenient. So what Imam Hanifa is saying technically is, if this cult, if you go stand up here and you say all praises is due to Allah Ta'ala, the Lord of the world, whatever, your salah is done, right? But the fatwa is not on that. Look at the next ibara also. He say, وَيُرْوَى رُجُوعُهُ في أصل المسألة إلى قولهما. That it is narrated that he made ruju. That is, the question, if it doesn't suffice, won't it nullify the salah in any way? Not what they say. I understand what you're saying here. If a person in English started reading, like how you said, all praise is due to Allah Ta'ala, it will nullify the salat. I hear what you're saying, that I need to check that up, to be honest with you, but that's not what is being said in the kitab. I hope you understand the difference. Somebody's asking, if somebody stood up now here, you're going to read Zohar namaz and you say all praise is due to Allah Ta'ala, the Lord of the worlds, will it nullify the salat or not? That's not what's being mentioned in the kitab. According to the kitab, it won't nullify the salah. According to what is mentioned in Hidaayah, to be honest, Amaf, I don't know the fatwa. We'll have to check that fatwa up for you, right? We'll have to check that fatwa up. I'm not sure. But what Hidaayah Sharif is saying is that it won't nullify the salah. There is it quite clear. There is it clear. It's saying there. It's saying there. There is it clear. It's saying, right? وَلَا خِلَافَ فِي أَنَّهُ لَا فَسَادَ. There's no ikhtilaf between sahibain. There will be no fasad. Right? Actually, this question that this person is asking here that come to my mind, but we need to check it up. But what the kitab is saying, what Hidaayah Sharif is saying, is this: yes, we like to have the fatwa also, but the basic thing is first. The first point of departure is to understand what the kitab is saying. You understand what I'm saying? Hidaayah is not a fatwa kitab. Hidaayah is not a fatwa kitab. It's a kitab that has been designed to build your faqahat. It is a kitab that is built, it has been there to make you think, to teach you how to think as a faqih. So the fatwa could be potentially different. The fatwa could be potentially different. But according to what is in Hidaayah Sharif, he's saying, if you read in another language, it will not nullify the salah. Oh, that's clear. So you people can check it up. I can give you that homework. You can try to check if a person read in another language, according to Hidaayah Sharif, it will not nullify the salah. But with it, yeah, we're coming to that now. We're coming to this. So remember, till thus far, the ikhtilaf was whether it will be sufficient as a kirat. We're only discussing that. We were not discussing whether it will suffice or not. That's a separate masla. But still discussing this part here now, that reciting in another language while you are able to recite in Arabic, it is narrated his retraction, that Imam Hanifa retracted, he retracted in the original masla to the opinion of Sahibain, and then وَعَلَيْهِ الْإِعْتِمَادِ, and upon that is our reliance. That shows you now that the fatwa in this masla, this still doesn't answer that question there. We're still speaking about whether it's sufficient or not, right? That I will have to check up first. So he's saying the fatwa walayl i'tibad. Also, this is also one of the words to express, like how you said, was sahihu, wal asahhu. Now, if you do the Mufti course, inshallah, you will learn all these words in detail. In the Mufti course, they'll teach you what's the implication of the word. Was sahih, this is the correct one. Wal asah, this is the most preferred. Wa alayhi al-i'timad, reliance is upon this, that you do. If you stick around, inshallah, if we're still around, we'll do it. We'll do it in that then, right? So this shows you that here, Imam Hanifa's call is too lenient. The fatwa is not upon that, right? Right. Then he's saying, yeah, وَالْخُطْبَةُ وَالتَّشَهُدُ عَلَى هَذَا الْإِخْتِلَافِ. Khutbah for Jummah. So you see, if you go nowadays to, I told you I'm on the chat here with regards to the North America. A lot of here in South Africa, alhamdulillah, we don't have that problem. But in North America, in those places, they have this problem. A lot of times, the people want to give, they only give an English lecture, like how we have an English lecture, and then we have the Arabic khutbah after that. And then they have the salah. So here, according to Imam Hanifa's opinion, technically speaking, it will be correct. So like how they give an English lecture, they sit down, give another English lecture. But again, the fatwa is not on that. So they're saying the same khilaf. Wal khutbatu, to recite the khutbah in another language, right? What tashahudu, and to recite the tashahud ala hadha al-ikhtilafi, is on the same ikhtilaf, the difference of between Imam Abu Hanifa and Sahibain. وفي الأذان يعتبر التعارف, and Azan is about more latitude. They say here that Azan, the main purpose is to inform people of Salah. So if it's done in another language, it's fine. But coming back to this masla here about the khutbah in another language, you'll do this inshallah. You see, the minimum in khutbah is you must mention the greatness of Allah Ta'ala, and you must mention one or two hadith. So even if they do that English, but they are going to mention a hadith, and they are going to mention, so technically speaking, even according to Sahibain, it will be valid. You understand what I'm saying? So a bit of a very technical discussion. So still the question is still not answered here, that if a person recites in another language, does it nullify the salat or not? But what we know for sure is, according to Sahib Hidaayah, Marghinani, Rahmatullah alayh, it does not nullify the salah, but it cannot count as a kirat, according to Sahibain. And Imam Hanifa also made ruju eventually. So what we know from Hidaayah Sharif is that it cannot count as a Hidaayah Sharif saying it does not nullify the salah, but it cannot count as a kirat. Right? Is that clear? Allah Ta'ala accept it, inshallah. Allah Ta'ala accept it. Allah Ta'ala make it a means of cure for everyone who's ill. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanakallah wa bihamdika.